independence only 11 years ago. Do not sleep on the players from this small African nation. There are several players on the South Sudan roster with NBA and NCAA experience. South Sudan point guard Carlik Jones was the G League Player of the Year last season. They've got an 18-year-old 7'2" center named Kaman Maluch who's going to Duke in the fall. LeBron's agent Rich Paul has already introduced himself to Maluch. These two teams have played each other already. In an exhibition game July 20th in London, South Sudan lost by only 1 point. The rematch today is on the Olympic stage and should draw a huge TV audience. You can catch the game live at noon on the USA and Peacock networks. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us for a book party celebrating The Covenant with Black America 20 years later. Almost 2 decades ago, the Covenant book, compiled and edited by Tavis Smiley, climbed to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list and stayed there for weeks. The first book by a black-owned publisher to achieve such a feat. The urgency of the issues that matter most to black fellow citizens has only intensified, especially in this critical election year. On Wednesday evening, August 14th, 6 to 9 p.m., come meet Tavis Smiley alongside Covenant contributors including Cornel West, Connie Rice, Mark Ridley Thomas, Elisa Orduna, Tyrone Howard, and Melina Abdullah as they sign copies of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later. You can purchase your books on site and get them autographed. That's Wednesday evening, August 14th, 6 to 9 p.m. in the city of Los Angeles. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Tavis Smiley, that's Chaka Khan. Glad to have you with us in this hour. 2 conversations for you. On the B side of this hour, a Republican mayor in a swing state endorses Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. Say what? Mesa, Arizona Mayor John Giles joins us on the B side of this hour to talk about that decision on his part. Look forward to that conversation with the mayor of Mesa, Arizona, on why, as a Republican, he has endorsed Kamala Harris over one Donald J. Trump. And as promised, we commenced this hour in conversation with Christine Pelosi. Last name sounds familiar. Pelosi. Heard that somewhere before. She is a delegate to the DNC and, of course, the daughter of Nancy. And I wanted to have her on for a conversation about a number of things, principally white women for Harris, and whether or not white women are going to show up for Kamala Harris come November. Christine Pelosi, good to have you on this program. How are you today?
Thank you, Tavis. It's wonderful to be with you. I am feeling energized and great.
I'm glad to hear that you are feeling energized and great. Let me unpack that. Why, Christine Pelosi, are you feeling so energized and great?
Because last night we put together the Cat Ladies for Kamala. We're very incensed that J.D. Vance couched his sexist views in such odious terms, and we decided that we were going to strike back. So we decided, let's do a Zoom. And then the dog people said, well, wait, don't forget us. So we came together, Cats and Dogs United, Fur, F-U-R,
yeah.
Kamala. And so we had, now these are cats and dogs, so they were sometimes on the screen and sometimes they weren't, as they are wont to be. But we had a wonderful, wonderful time talking about. Well, first of all, we were just having fun because
right.
it was fun to be together. We had a surprise guest to kick us off, Nancy Pelosi, and herself, my cat's grandmother. So, we had to make sure that she was on board.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having a good time, energized at the excitement and the enthusiasm that we have around Kamala Harris, but also, frankly, Tavis, and I was very blunt on the call, we were making sure that people understand that this is no joke. When J.D. Vance and Donald Trump talk about, childless cat ladies, and they talk about, they demonize women for their choices. Donald Trump said he was going to punish women if they had abortions, and he sure did by bragging about appointing the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade. When you talk about, as Vice President Kamala Harris has been making the point for years, that the states with the most draconian abortion bans also have the highest rates of maternal mortality. So if you want to be pro-life and you don't want abortion, well, you better support contraception. You better support prenatal care. You better support birthing outcomes, particularly for black women. And these conservatives don't. They don't even want prenatal testing because they think it's your job just to have the baby no matter what and not even be prepared for it. And then they don't even give you help when the baby's born. So we had some very, very serious things to discuss, but we were trying to do it in a lighthearted way to own our cat motherhood and our dog motherhood, but also to say, hey, look, there is a reason that women pick the bear over the man, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to not trusting these conservative men who think they can make our decisions for us. And Donna Brazile took us to church. She said, I am childless by choice, but I'm an auntie, I'm a godmother, I take care of people all over the country. And not to, dispel her confidence, but she actually did come on the call right after visiting a mutual friend of ours in the hospital. I mean, she really does. She really is Auntie Donna all the time.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, when they insult our choices and they limit us to just childbearing and say you don't count unless you're a parent, well, in the case of Kamala Harris and in the case of me, Christine Pelosi, and I've known Kamala since law school, vice president since law school, the fact of the matter is we were moms late. And we were both stepmoms. We both are stepmoms. I'm also a birth mom, but I was a stepmom and then a birth mom and then a cat mom in that chronological order. And the fact of the matter is love makes a family.
Yeah.
And that's what Kamala Harris believes. That's what the Democratic Party believes. And that's what I think a majority of Americans believe. So that's why I am excited and great and energized, because I'm energized by this fight, because I know that the American people are on our side, that the American people want love and inclusion, and I know that we have an excellent standard bearer for those values in Kamala Harris.
Let me tee this up now. I'll share with you now where I want to go when we come forward, and I'll give you some more time, of course, on the other side to unpack your response to this. You've laid out brilliantly what the case is. I understand the frame that we are in. No surprise, when your mama's Nancy Pelosi, you know how to make your argument. So Christine's done that quite brilliantly. The question is whether or not this anti-woman agenda that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are advancing in a variety of ways is enough to get white women writ large to line up behind Kamala Harris. I could debate Christine Pelosi. I don't need to. There are other examples. Donald Trump would have been president, as you well know, had it not been for white women. Most white women in this country did not vote for Barack Obama. Most did not. So there are examples where white women have voted their privilege. There are examples where they have voted against their own best interest at time. And I don't like demonizing or generalizing about a whole group. I'm certainly not demonizing. I'm just asking the question of Christine Pelosi when we come forward, whether or not that agenda that she finds and many other women find so abhorrent being pushed by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance is enough to get white women to line up en masse behind Kamala Harris. Because if that happens, game over. If that were to happen, game over. We'll talk about that with Christine Pelosi. And, of course, talk about her being a delegate to the convention, what she expects in Chicago. A great deal more with Christine Pelosi when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ugh, I've been feeling so sluggish. I'm just kind of blah.
Been there. That's why I take Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites.
But I suppose they taste blah.
Actually, they taste delicious. It's an apple blueberry flavored center covered in a yogurt coating and is infused with probiotics to help support a healthy gut. They come 5 in a pouch. I just toss one in my bag and go.
Toss one in my bag?
Get your own.
New Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites from the makers of the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Find them in the digestive care aisle.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Christine Pelosi. If the last name sounds familiar, it should. Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House, is her mother. Christine, in her own right, though, is an advocate and activist and delegate to the DNC in Chicago, where I will see her in just a few weeks. We'll talk about that in a moment and what she expects in Chicago as a delegate. But to the point you were making earlier, Christine, you laid out nicely. You made the case for why women broadly should not consider voting for J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, or Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, put it in the right order. But my question is whether or not, because there's evidence to the contrary, as you heard me say, historical evidence to the contrary, whether or not that anti-woman agenda is enough in this election to get women en masse lined up behind Kamala Harris.
Well, I'll say two things. One, last night on the call, and as I said, we had a very fun time on our cat ladies and pet lovers for Kamala Zoom. But I struck a note towards the end of reality. And I told them on Election Day in 2016, I was actually at the DNC headquarters making phone calls. And I went into Donna Brazil's office, and she said, she's then the chair of the DNC. And she said, do you think we have this? I said, I don't know. My cohort, white women, are the worst. I don't know if they're going to come through. And we didn't. And the fact of the matter is after 2016, and I wrote about this in my book, The Nancy Pelosi Way, that I wrote about my mom, after 2016, it was like Hillary lost, fire Nancy. Hillary lost. We don't even want a woman to run for chair of the DNC, much less serve. Hillary lost, therefore we can't trust women leaders. That white woman leadership, women didn't even vote for a white woman, so they're not going to vote for anybody else. So this experiment has failed. And I think Donald Trump really galvanized women to think otherwise. And there were plenty of white women who voted for Democrats in 2018, enough who voted for Joe Biden. But we are going to have a reckoning where white women talk to other white women and say, look, Forget the old baggage. And I told them last night what I'm going to say now to you and your listeners. When we were little, and my mom, Nancy Pelosi, would take the 5 of us on a car trip, we would either leave San Francisco through the Bay Bridge or the Golden Gate Bridge, where we were crossing a bridge. And she'd say, okay, whatever baggage you have, whatever differences you have with your siblings, throw it over the bridge. It's not coming on the trip. It's not coming to Napa. It's not coming to Tahoe. It's not coming on the trip. So I said to them last night, so white women, my sisters, whatever doubts you have, throw them over the bridge, right? Because I'm already starting to hear a little bit about, well, what is Kamala's policy over here? You know what the vice president's policy is. You were fully endorsing it when it was Joe Biden's policy. So give her a minute to set up her website, but let's not come up with things that are, well, I don't know if I can work, maybe not this weekend. No, we got less than 100 days. Every day there could be something that you are doing to elect Kamala Harris. So you got to throw that old baggage over the bridge. You got to throw those old expectations over the bridge. So that's one thing specifically. White women like me need to collect other white women and say, we're not doing this. And this matters a lot to me. I know you know my good friend Carolyn Fowler, my successor as the chair of the Women's Caucus of the California Democratic Party. And I made an intentional point. I called Carolyn up, and I said, next year is going to be my last year. I'm looking at my gavel. It's dated, it's dated 2011. In 2021, it's going to be you. It's going to be you. It's going to be 10 years. It's time, we got to pass the gavel. It's got to be. She said, well, let's make sure they want to elect a black woman. I said, well, we will, and we're going to make sure they do it. And I actually announced that I was stepping down and not running again, and that I was endorsing Carolyn on our Black Women's History Month Zoom, just to make the point to other white women. You got to literally pass the torch to black women. Don't just say you're going to do it. Do it. And, pass the gavel. Now, she still had to run, but the point is, we made sure, she got her best launch possible. So that's the kind of thing we have to do. And we had to do this with Barack Obama, because with Barack Obama in 2008, we had a great seniors and retirees program that was built out of the late Richard Trumka, leader of the AFL-CIO, said, we're going to elect Barack Obama. And there are a lot of people in my union, now this is Rich Trumka talking, there are a lot of people in these unions, particularly the industrial unions, who never had a black shop steward, who never had a black manager, who never had a black boss across the table when they were in negotiations, right? Who never had a black loan officer. Now suddenly they're going to elect a black president of the United States. So we need to go talk to them one-on-one about whatever it is that's stopping them from voting to put a black man in charge. And we need to break this down one by one. And similarly, we still have people today who have not had a black woman boss, have not had a black woman professional superior, right? So we need to say to them, look, you've had a black vice president for the past 4 years. Now you're going to have a black president of the United States. But we need to break these conversations down one-on-one and say, what is this really about, right? What's the nature of this? As I said, I always say to the grassroots, you're only as good as your last phone bank. So I can read people pretty well when it comes to maybes and we'll sees. And that's why I kind of called it out last night. As much fun as the cat ladies were having, I was like, look, I'm already starting to hear a little about these doubts that are couched as Kamala needs to do a little more. No, she doesn't. The vice president has served with distinction. She served with excellence. We know what her issues are, and her issues are very clear. So we need an economy that works for all of us. We need to have reproductive justice, and we need to have the future and not going back to the past and the Trump's tax cut that bankrupted America and will bankrupt us again if we let him back in office. That's the agenda, and white women need to get behind it.
So to use your word of earlier, cohort, what's your gut? Your gut is pretty good. Your mother's gut is the best. But what's your gut tell you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, she got a pretty good gut. What's your gut tell you right now, Christine Pelosi, about your cohort in this election? What's your gut tell you?
My gut tells me that white women are going to vote for their rights and they're going to vote for their daughters.
Okay.
Because they thought that their whiteness could shield them. Now they're like, oh, I can't go to that work conference in this state because what happens if if I have a pregnancy complication. I don't want my daughter to go to college in that state because what happens if she needs birth control or Plan B or an abortion? These are very real things. And I would say that white women have stood up on the issue of abortion in very white states to protect abortion rights. So now they got to vote for their daughters, and they got to vote for the daughters by voting for Kamala Harris.
Here's what I'm thinking about, and I received that response. The data point I'm about to share with you, and again, because you're a Pelosi, you understand data. The data point I'm about to share with you is incontrovertible. Historically, white women vote the same way as white men. And that shouldn't surprise us because white women are married to white men. They're the wives, they're the mothers. So that I'm not surprised. So somebody at the dinner table at night says, this is how this household is going to vote. And that is how that household votes. White women historically have tracked their voting in the same way that white men have voted. So if they vote this time for themselves and for their daughters, I hope you're right about that. But if they do that this time, that would be a historic break. Tell me how you read that. I mean, how does that land on you, the data point?
Well, and I think you're right. And I would say this. We found out something interesting, actually, in the early days that I was chair of the Women's Caucus of the California Democratic Party. We were doing phone banking for Jane Harmon, who had been a congresswoman from the L.A. area, had stepped down to run the Wilson Center for Public and Foreign Policy, and Janice Hahn was running for Congress. And so we were doing phone banking. And what we found was very interesting. In the year of our Lord, 2011, women were still saying, let me talk to my husband. Yeah. But, my husband's Peter Kaufman. I'm Christine Pelosi. I'm Miss Kaufman to my daughter's friends because I try not to load her down with too much Pelosi at school. But, you know, they find you out. Sure. But the point is, we have different last names. And so we looked at it, and the split households, when you look at a voter roll, if the woman has taken her husband's name, she's much more likely to vote with the husband. Mm-hmm. If the woman keeps her own last name, the voting patterns are different. So I didn't hear that. Yeah. I mean, every now and then I hear it from someone, and I always make a point when someone calls me. I say, well, I'll talk to my husband and tell him how to vote. And the person will just crack up just because I like to mix it up. But, you know, because hey, I'm a Pelosi, right? I'll tell Mr. Kaufman how to vote. Thank you for calling. Yeah. But I do think there is, you know, again, we have to beware the myth of the monolith, and we have to dip in there. So where the woman has a different last name from a man, that's going to be a better call. Where the woman, and you can find this all out from, you know, when I was younger, when my mom's first campaign for Congress, we had the Nana Brigade. My father's late mother, Corinne Pelosi, our Nana, and her nanas, all the Italian ladies got together and they did postcards to everybody with Italian surnames, and they would argue over what part of Italy they were from. That's what they thought diversity was. Okay. Yeah. We had the Nana Brigade. But now we have the Nana Brigade meets data. So now they know what part of Italy they're from and whether they have Italian cookbooks and whether they're a member of Planned Parenthood or whether they're in a union or get a union magazine or something like that. So you can narrow it down. So you look at white women, then you go white women who are married but keep their last name on their voter registration, white women who are married who are members of Planned Parenthood, white women who are married who have certain commercial interests that you can identify. And we do relational organizing, which is a fancy new way of saying you call people you know, that you have a relationship with. And that's what I mean when I say we have to do this relational organizing to quietly break it down. Because they may say, oh, I'm part of White Women for Kamala, but then suddenly they're busy for 2 weeks. And we're like, no, you can't get busy. You need to get busy on this campaign, right? Do some postcards if you can't phone bank, right? Do some texts if you can't go door knocking, but you can do something. And so that's how you have to break it down. And that's what we did to pass these abortion rights measures everywhere. Again, the vice president points this out all the time. Everywhere abortion has been on the ballot since Dobbs, abortion rights have won, including in very, very, very white states. Yeah. So it doesn't, forget the monolith, Go with the married women with different last names and go with the people who are members of organizations that would tend to be more progressive, like a union or a Planned Parenthood or an environmental organization.
I've got 4 minutes left, and I want to ask you 2 questions, so maybe 2 minutes apiece. Let me start with this. I will see you in Chicago in a few weeks for the DNC. What are your expectations? What do you think is going to happen in Chicago?
We are going to nominate Kamala Harris and her running mate electronically in advance, but we're going to have a wonderful showcase of Joe Biden. We're going to, and his life and his service to our country. We're going to have a lot of We Love Joe. We're going to have a lot of biography on Kamala Harris to introduce her to the country and the world in a more personal way than has been done before. We are going to adopt a progressive platform that will help us finish the job, and I'm working on highlighting certain aspects of that, particularly on climate. And as I said, if you look at what just happened yesterday with ProPublica, where they did the Truth social media partner is someone who got a multi-billion-dollar tax cut and earned carbon emission limitations under the Trump administration. Those tax cuts expire 2025. They want to go back in and take it again. So we're going to have a big message on keeping the climate action moving forward and keeping Trump out of the White House to do that. And we're going to showcase future Speaker Hakeem Jeffries and filibuster-free Senate leader Chuck Schumer and their talent.
There you go. I'm getting some breaking news. Donald Trump, as we speak on this live program, is appearing in Chicago at NABJ, and he's cutting loose. He is cutting loose in front of these black journalists. He is not holding back. He's going in, even in front of a room full of black people. I'll tell you more about that when we come forward here. In the last 2 minutes, though, with Christine Pelosi, I want to get personal if I can, just for 2 minutes here. And you know, I'm not naive about this. You're a big girl. I say that respectfully. You're a big girl, and obviously you can handle yourself. But what has it been like over these last few years, being the daughter of Nancy Pelosi and all the pushback and the threats and all the ugliness aimed at her? And of course, we know the story of your father and what happened to him. Just as a daughter, what's it been like for you the last few years, being the daughter of your parents?
Well, very blessed to be their daughter and to see their relationship growing ever stronger every year. They've been together almost 61 years. It'll be 61 years, September 7th. Also, as the attorney of the family, I was actually representing my parents' interests in the criminal trials, federal and state, regarding my father's attacker. We're still waiting on the sentencing in the state case. The verdict just came out last month, so I can't talk substantively about that, other than to say I've been in and out of courtrooms for 20 months in both the federal and state jury trials of the man who assaulted my father and attempted to kidnap and harm my mother. And it has been just overwhelming, the love and support and the prayers. They matter. So thank you for everybody who's been sending them. Keep sending them, because it's been brutal and tough. And I have to just say, I thought that after Trump survived the assassination attempt and which the firefighter was killed and others were seriously injured, that he might take a different view towards the way that he and Elon Musk and his son and others joked about my father. But they did not. And so I will say that obviously I'm fiercely protective of my parents and so proud of my father in the way my father came forward and testified and has just been so stoic in light of the ongoing injuries he continues to suffer from being nearly killed by someone who fell into these conspiracy theories but decided to act on them. And then rather than rejecting him and saying, no, that's not what we wanted you to do, from the president on down in MAGA land, they simply laughed at us. And I'll never, ever forgive that.
I know you won't. I don't know how you could. I'm grateful for this conversation with Christine Pelosi, daughter of Nancy and Paul, who I will see in Chicago. She's a delegate at the convention. I'll be there covering it all week long, talking to her and a lot of other people. Christine, until then, thanks for your time today. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you, Tavis. Be well.
You too. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Vice President Kamala Harris is getting the support of a couple of rap stars. The Democratic presidential candidate held a campaign rally in Atlanta, Georgia, Tuesday that was attended by about 10,000 supporters and featured African-American rap stars Megan Thee Stallion and Quavo. Another round of student debt relief is being announced by the Biden administration. The Department of Education says beginning tomorrow, it'll start emailing borrowers who have at least one outstanding federal student loan to let them know about potential upcoming relief. The United States continues to lead the overall medal count at the Paris Olympics. Team USA added 6 more medals on Tuesday, including in the women's gymnastics team all-around final. The U.S. now has a total of 26 medals. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
It's Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Save up to 60% on a wide selection of quality mattresses at every price. Plus, score a free adjustable base with a qualifying purchase. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The U.S. men's Olympic basketball team is back on the court today in Paris. Second round matchup against South Sudan, a country that got its name and independence only 11 years ago. Do not sleep on the players from this small African nation. There are several players on the South Sudan roster with NBA and NCAA experience. South Sudan point guard Carlik Jones was the G League Player of the Year last season. They've got an 18-year-old 7'2" center named Kaman Malouch who's going to Duke in the fall. LeBron's agent Rich Paul has already introduced himself to Malouch. These two teams have played each other already. In an exhibition game July 20th in London, South Sudan lost by only 1 point. The rematch today is on the Olympic stage and should draw a huge TV audience. You can catch the game live at noon on the USA and Peacock networks. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You've got a pecto predicament, beach bum.
Hey, we're heading down to the beach. You coming?
Yeah, Dad. You coming?
I had a little too much to eat at the resort buffet. I need a minute.
Oh, you overdid it. And now your beach vacation is giving you belly waves. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto Chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief so you can get back to making memories.
Let's go, Dad!
When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life.
For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
At Lowe's, save big every day. Right now, get a free pneumatic nailer when you buy a pallet of Metabo HPT nails. And there's more. Save 10% on select shingles when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Mayor John Giles, who I will bring on here in just a second. He's the mayor of Mesa, Arizona, and I am curious to hear why a Republican mayor in a swing state has endorsed Kamala Harris over Donald J. Trump, the nominee of his own party. We'll talk to Mayor Giles in just a second. Mayor, I beg your indulgence and your patience just for a second. But I'm syndicated across the country, so people will hear this at different times. But right now, Donald Trump is going in Chicago at the NABJ. These black journalists invited him there, and I told y'all a bunch of times, Donald Trump don't play. He's out of control, but nothing is beneath him. This is Donald Trump. I'll give you just 2 minutes of sound right now. We're going to dig into this tomorrow. Trust and believe. We'll jump into this with greater detail when we start tomorrow's show. But I want to give you just a taste. You'll see it on the news all day today. Just a taste of how Donald Trump doesn't hold back, even in a room full of black people. Give it to him, Miles.
You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that, and let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense, and then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was
Mr. President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
you
it's
to
a
answer
very
the question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe
answered
that
the
black
question.
voters should trust you with another 4
I have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other
Donald
questions.
Trump went in. He told these Negroes, y'all was a half hour late. Your equipment don't work. You didn't say, hello, Mr. President, nice to see you. Thank you for coming. You went in. Then he laid out all the stuff he's done for black people. I mean, at a certain level, this is funny. It's laughable on a certain level. On the other hand, this is what NABJ walked into. They walked into it, and this is who Donald Trump is. And like him or loathe him, and clearly I am not a fan of Donald Trump. Let's be clear about that and make no mistake about that. But he accepted the invitation. He showed up. He called them on the fact that they told him that Kamala was going to be there. Now she's going to come by Zoom, but they made him come in person. This is what you set yourself up for when you ain't got your ducks lined up in a row. And you let Donald Trump just come in and go off. You let him go off because you didn't handle your business the way you should have handled it. This is what I was saying in the first hour today. I'm ambivalent about this. If you invite him, he has a chance to speak. But you can't set him up, give him ammunition to come shoot you with it at your conference. I'm done for now. Tomorrow, we're going to go in the first hour. We're going to go all the way in. All the way in. This just makes me sick. It sickens me that they allow him this platform to do this. They played into his hands. You knew who he was when you invited him. And that's why some people were in NABJ were upset that he was invited in the first place. Well, I hear that argument, but he's running for president. He's one of the top two contenders. So nothing wrong with inviting him. That's their policy. They do it every 4 years. But you can't set yourself up for this in the way that they did and let Donald Trump just slap you all across the head in your convention. I digress for now. Mayor John Giles, I apologize for having you stand by. I would not do that to one of your honor and esteem as mayor of a major city in this country. But that breaking news was coming forward, so I had to get that out of the way. So let me just start right quick. I won't do you like apparently Donald Trump said they did him. How are you today, sir? It's good to have you on this program.
Well, thank you, Tavis. I appreciate the invitation, and I understand that's a breaking and fascinating story.
No, it is. It is fascinating is one word for it. We will unpack it again on tomorrow's program. And again, no one's excusing Donald Trump's behavior. Nobody's excusing it. But I'm just sad at giving him that kind of platform, setting himself up for that. You're running late. You made him come. You told Kamala she can do it by. It's just the frame is all wrong, and you give him ammunition. I can't stand that. But again, I digress on that for now. Let me just jump right in and make the most of the time we have. Tell me why a mayor of a city in a swing state who is Republican endorses Kamala Harris over Donald Trump.
Sure. Well, thank you. I've been the mayor of Mesa, which is, for people who don't know, we're the second largest city in the Phoenix metro, a city of 520,000 people, 35th largest city in the country for the last 10 years. And I've been elected, yes, I am a registered Republican, but I'm elected in a nonpartisan election for local government. And so I do take my, Republican background with me into this job, but I'm here, to be a nonpartisan mayor, to solve problems and to avoid getting caught up in partisan, garbage whenever I can, and to focus on the things that are kind of in the middle of the playing field. And so I don't go out looking for opportunities to engage, but sometimes I have to because we play at the national level, and cities like Mesa, Arizona, are directly impacted by who the president of the United States is and what the policies of the federal government are. And we have been better served, I have to say. I've been the mayor under President Obama, President Trump, and President Biden. And I have to say that during the Trump administration, cities did not get the support that they needed. The term infrastructure week was kind of a running gag during the Trump administration because we kept getting promises that we were going to get support for cities, and it never materialized. Also, the issue of immigration. President Trump tries to use that. I come from a border state, and I'm the chairman of the U.S. Conference of Mayors Immigration Reform Task Force. So this is an issue that I'm very familiar with. Mr. Trump loves the topic of immigration because it's a divisive issue that he can use to raise money and to stir up fear and to use for his own political purposes. I can tell you in Arizona and in border states generally, we see it as a problem that needs to be solved. not as something that needs to be used to score political points.
Hold that thought, Mayor. When we
So
come, hold that thought 1 second. When we come forward, I'll let you finish that point. I hate to cut you off, and I want to hear, based on what you laid out already, why you think and believe that Kamala Harris will be better. I want to hear your take on that. You're listening to Mayor John Giles of Mesa, Arizona, and I'm glad about it right now on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
I'm talking to Mayor John Giles, and Donald Trump is in Chicago, still going in. Still going off at the NABJ. Again, it's going to be a fascinating hour, I'm sure, tomorrow when we lead off talking about what happened today in Chicago. But right now, we're talking with Mayor John Giles, the mayor of Mesa, Arizona, about why, as a Republican, he has endorsed Kamala Harris over Donald J. Trump. Mayor, you were making a point. You want to finish that point? What I'm really pressing toward is why you believe that Kamala Harris would be better for cities than Donald Trump was.
Sure. Well, I was just kind of going through some of the major things that the city deal with is infrastructure and immigration, so just to state with those points, when it comes to infrastructure, under the Biden-Harris administration, we've got the CHIPS Act, we've got the Inflation Reduction Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. There's been, I can tell you as mayor, I'm going to groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings every week in my city. And most of those have a tie to this federal legislation that has freed up some money for the infrastructure that attracts business to my community. And that wasn't happening under the Donald Trump administration. So I know that she's committed to that. And immigration, we talked about earlier, that's not an issue. That's the issue in border states like Arizona. And, you know, a lot of times people blame the president for those policies. And what people need to realize is that immigration laws are broken, and they can only be fixed by Congress. You know, things like the DACA and the most recent proclamations having to do with border policy, those are great, but most legal experts will tell you that they're on very tenuous ground. And the only way to really solve the loopholes that are attracting people to our borders is for Congress to act and to make the fixes to the immigration laws that we need.
Yep.
We had a great set of laws that Senator Sinema and Republican Senator from Oklahoma, Langford, negotiated. It was ready to go, and Donald Trump put the kibosh on it. He killed it because he didn't want that problem to be solved, because he wanted to gripe about it and use it as a weapon during the presidential campaign. So those are just a few of the reasons why cities would be a lot better off under a Harris administration.
When we come forward in our remaining moments with Mayor John Giles of Mesa, Arizona, I want to ask him, one, what kind of response he has received since coming out and supporting Kamala Harris over his own party's nominee, Donald Trump. What kind of response has he received? I'm curious about that. And Arizona, as we discussed on this program a couple weeks ago, it's clearly an important state in this election. Make no mistake about that. But it is not as red as it once was. Many people now have it in a little more purple than it's ever been. And we'll get his view on that and how he thinks that plays come November. Our remaining moments with the mayor of Mesa, Arizona, Mayor John Giles, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Sounds Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Mayor John Giles, the mayor of Mesa, Arizona. And we got 4 minutes left in this conversation. I'm honored to have had the mayor on this program today. Mayor, two things before I lose you. Number one, what kind of response have you received since announcing your support of Kamala Harris?
Well, it's been, no one's in the middle on this, obviously. Yeah. So I've gotten lots of hate, lots of I can't say the words that they're using, but that's an emoji that looks like a little brown pile that you use on your phone sometimes.
I get it. Yeah,
that's come up a few times.
Yeah.
But I've also been really kind of surprised by. Sometimes we forget that most people, even people in the Republican Party, most people are in the middle, and they reject extremism, and they can see that Donald Trump and people like Kerry Lake here in Arizona are just fanning the flames of taking us way too far to the right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of Republicans, some of them that are still left in the party that really, what I'm saying resonates with them.
I saw Kerry Lake won that Republican primary yesterday, so she will be the Republican nominee in Arizona to take the seat that Sinema is stepping down from, correct?
She won it, but not by nearly what people thought she should have.
Okay.
She won by, she had barely got, she was less than 60% of the vote. So,
right.
A few years ago, she invited all the Republicans that weren't extreme to get the hell out of the party, and not everyone did apparently, because she did not win by a whole lot.
Yeah. So Kerry Lake is not. She ain't dead yet. She's now the Republican nominee for that seat that Kristen Sinema has stepped down from. My last question is the state of Arizona. It is not as red as it once was. Many people now look at it more as a purple state. You're the mayor of Mesa. How do you see the state in terms of that whole color dynamic? And is it in play between now and November?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. The Republican Party is still strong here, but they've been the last couple of elections they've been losing because the Arizona Republicans keep nominating MAGA candidates like Kerry Lake. And so Kerry Lake will lose to Ruben Gallego, not because there's if the Republicans nominated a moderate candidate, they would win in Arizona still.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not who the Republicans are putting on the ballot. And so hopefully that's the case. Joe Biden won by 10,000 votes 4 years ago.
Right.
I think we can recreate that situation again because Donald Trump. We just need to remind people who Donald Trump is and point to the stark comparison, the stark contrast between him and Kamala Harris.
Mayor Giles, I'm honored to have had you on this program. He is the 40th mayor of Mesa, Arizona, first elected in 2014, re-elected in 2016, re-elected in 2020. They like John Giles, apparently, in Mesa, Arizona, and I like to have him on this program. Mayor, good to talk to you. Thanks for your time, sir. All the best to you.
Thank you, Tavis.
Good to have you on this program. That's it for today, 3 hours. We moved through a lot. Started out a little bumpy today. I said earlier at the very beginning of our program we had some technical issues, but we got on the good foot. We finally got on the good foot. What a great show today, and I thank you for hanging out and listening. Okay, so tomorrow, I can assure you, I haven't seen the rundown for tomorrow's show yet. I don't know who my guests are. I don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't gotten to any of that yet, but something tells me that tomorrow we'll be talking about Donald Trump today in Chicago at the NABJ. Something tells me that everybody, as we say in my neighborhood, everybody going to be talking about Donald Trump today at NABJ for a couple days, and we will have our say with our guests, whoever they are, about it tomorrow on this program. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Vice President Kamala Harris is getting the support of a couple of rap stars. The Democratic presidential candidate held a campaign rally in Atlanta, Georgia Tuesday that was attended by about 10,000 supporters and featured African-American rap stars Megan Thee Stallion and Quavo. Another round of student debt relief is being announced by the Biden administration. The Department of Education says beginning tomorrow, it'll start emailing borrowers who have at least one outstanding federal student loan to let them know about potential upcoming relief. The United States continues to lead the overall medal count at the Paris Olympics. Team USA added 6 more medals on Tuesday, including in the women's gymnastics team all-around final. The U.S. now has a total of 26 medals. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
It's Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Save up to 60% on a wide selection of quality mattresses at every price. Plus, score a free adjustable base with a qualifying purchase. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm today.